I don't wanna say anything, cause if I do I might say the wrong words. Oh no. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes up and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can't we find a single reason not to say goodbye? Oh, if I said what's on my mind, would you stay with me tonight? If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Run and hide. Run and hide. If I said what's on my mind, would that make you run and hide? Would that make you run and hide? Run and hide. Run and hide. Oh, would that make you run and hide? Don't know what to do anymore. I'm mad at options, nothing's working. I'm mad at service. Come help me now, I'm fucking nervous. I'm trying but can't scratch the surface. So I'll keep my mouth shut and not listen. Afraid I lose you if I didn't. Till we find what we're missing and compromise. So I'll keep my shoes up and not leaving. We're on thin ice, winter season. Can't we find a single reason not to say goodbye?
What's good, everyone? Hope everyone is okay. Hope everybody is doing well. I am back with another video, but this time I'm bringing you something different. Myself and Griggs have gone and scouted a lot of players. Well, Griggs has actually done all the hard work. I'm just taking all the glory, but big up to Griggs. You're going to see him soon, but he has managed to pull off a scout report for not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not six, over 100 players that you have seen in this World Cup. That's right, over 100 players. We will be talking about 100 plus players that you have watched and that we have enjoyed this World Cup. Some may be good, some may be bad, some you might agree with, some you might not agree with, but make sure nonetheless to hit a like on the video and also comment down below if any of the players you agree with or you disagree with. First and foremost, let's welcome Griggs to the chat. Griggs, thank you very much for doing this, man. Big up yourself as always. How you doing?
Yo, what's happening, people? I'm good as always. I'm ready to get through this stream. Oh, make sure you guys like and share, subscribe, all that stuff as well. Always support
Yes,
Fast.
sir.
It's my guy. And yeah, bro, a lot of scouting. Google
yeah.
Doc. My hands started hurting after because there's a lot of typing. But you know how it is. And yeah, I'm excited to go through all these players. Some are old, some are young. You know, we have to mix it. You know, we always gotta respect our elders. You know, always gotta show some respect to the elders. Respect the gems.
Yeah, some are old, some are young, but nonetheless, there is a lot of players that you have collated. And you know what? I am very much interested to do this stream and go through player by player. Some of them will be getting into a bit of debate. Some of them we won't. Some of them will just skip past. But let's get straight into it. We start off with none other than the host country, Qatar, who actually were the quickest out of the World Cup in the history, if I'm not mistaken. And you only have one player to talk about, and that is...
Yeah, that's my guy, Afif. This guy Yusuf Afif. Qatar, I'm going to be real, one of the worst host nation that ever existed. But they had a gem, always. Every country always has a gem in the World Cup, and Yusuf Afif was one of them. He's the one that showed the first touch, had nice dribbles, had a couple shots. He showed that there's glimpses in the future for him. He's still young. And maybe, you know, never know. I know a lot of the Qataris never leave the Qatari league, but you never know. He could be one of the few that goes out and explores Europe. A little nice adventure for him. So I picked him. The rest of them got to find different occupations.
I mean, a lot of the players from the Qatari team actually play in their respective league in that country. So it's still something that needs to be explored, where a player from Qatar goes into Europe and plays in a high level league. And I don't think there's any players that are actually playing in any even medium pace league. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. Then now we move on to the next team, which is Ecuador.
Oh, Tree, my team. I was really sad for them when they got knocked out by Senegal in the group stages, but they showed a lot of youngsters, and they're a good team to watch in the future. First name Moises Caicedo. We all know who Moises Caicedo is. Man United should have bought him, but Ed Woodward will pay for his crimes one day. But what a player, midfield beast, and his price is now 80 mil by Brighton, and rightfully so. Liverpool are in for him, Man United are in for him, Chelsea are in for him. It's going to be a bidding war, and it's rightly deserved because this guy's an absolute animal in the midfield, and he would have caused couple trouble to England if Ecuador advanced, but they got lucky. Next up, Estupinan, Brighton's Caicedo's teammate at Brighton, Ecuador. Ecuador knows what's going on, so did Brighton. Left back was at Villarreal last year when they made the UCL semifinals. Very good left back. Him and Caicedo have a good relationship, and he's still young, so he could probably get a move in a couple of years. Maybe a Newcastle who are looking at left backs. You never know. That might be a potential option. And last but not least, Pierre Hincapie. I chose him as my player previous to the World Cup, like in the preview article. And he plays for Bayer Leverkusen, left-footed center back that's always in high demand by a lot of clubs. And a club like Spurs, who I know need a left-footed center back once Langley goes back to Barca after the loan move ends. That's a player they should look at. And he had a mistake against Senegal for the penalty. I understand that. But before that, he was absolutely immense. He's a top center back. I think he's 22, 23 years old, still very young. So lots to come.
I mean, to say about Caicedo, the price tag is immense right now, and that's something that we'll have to go and kind of see if a top club is willing to pay that. He's very young. He's definitely established in world football, and people really do know about him. And you can tell the level of performance that he has for his club and his country as well. It's the same level. He doesn't have a drop in his performance. And Preciado, again, the fullback, man, I still like him. I think Preciado is just lacks upper echelon experience that you saw, and as you mentioned, Sa had him on ropes in the final game. But I personally think if he comes under a top level manager, no disrespect to his club manager where he is, but if he comes under a top level manager, then maybe they could get something out of him. I am concerned about his age somewhat. He's not young, but he's also not old. He's 24 going into 25. So how long does he have? Couple more years till he reaches his peak. So a move is needed if he wants to up his game for sure. The next team we move on to is none other than Mr. Lover manager. I don't know how you want to put it. The manager who goes around kissing his players like they're his son, talking about love making and everything, is Netherlands.
LVG hype. The funniest press conference today. Memphis Depay. I'm sure Memphis Depay was blushing after those comments made by LVG today. But yeah, my first player, Timo Koopmeiners. We haven't seen that much of him in the World Cup, and I was really thinking that him and Frankie would have been a solid duo. But I think he put in a solid shift in the game against Ecuador, and he came on against USA. He did his job. LVG, I'm not gonna question him because he's Louis van Gaal. Who am I to question Louis van Gaal? But I would like to see more of Koopmeiners. Maybe against Argentina tomorrow, we might see him. Who knows? Maybe he puts in an amazing performance against the likes of Enzo Fernandez, who we'll talk about soon when we get to the other groups. And then after that, we have our guy Cody Gakpo. Every Man United fan knows who Cody Gakpo is because he's the talk of the month, talk of the last 6 months in a way from PSV. And he's been amazing in this World Cup. I can't even deny that. Scored in the first 3 group games. Didn't score against USA, but I thought he actually had a decent performance, all-around game, which is what we want to see as Man United fans. That's his biggest critic that we all have of him, is an all-around game, and he showed it really well against USA. And the price of the brick is going up, as I always like to say when players have good performances. So Cody Gakpo's price of the brick is going up. Real Madrid are in for him. When you catch the eye of Real Madrid, you've done something well in life. And Cody Gakpo has had a fantastic World Cup.
I mean, with this guy, every time he touches the ball and makes a pass, or every time he has a good XG or whatever, a good game, every 24 hours they're adding on 5 to 10 million on his price tag, and the price tag is one of those. And I think a report came out today as well saying Manchester United will now have to pay the upper pricing range because they've gone and paid 100 million for Anthony last summer. So it only makes sense that PSV makes some money out of this as well, considering you're taking our star man, who's the star player in the club and country during a World Cup season, and you want to take him in January. So for me, I've been saying it. You want the guy, you got to pay the price. It is what it is.
100% correct. If Eric Ten Hag wants him that much, he'll convince Joe Glazer to pay that price. But my third player, we haven't seen the best of him yet. We haven't seen that much, but I think he's going to be really crucial in tomorrow's game. Xavi Simons. He's been Cody's Gakpo teammate at PSV, of course. We all remember how he dunked on Arsenal in the Europa League. He absolutely shone out. And if you guys know Xavi Simons, he used to be at Barcelona's academy, La Masia. His name is Xavi. He ditched them for PSG. He's a really been wonder kid. And I think that he should be starting over Davy Klaassen, but LVG disagrees with me, which is fine. But I think he has X factor off the bench, and I think that will be crucial in a game against Argentina, which is going to be a very tight, close game. And the likes of Xavi Simons can come in and cause some loss and maybe cause an upset against Argentina. So keep an eye on him. I've won a little off script with him a little bit, but I had to throw my guy a little bias, of course. And then obviously we got to go to the duds. And the Netherlands have been doing really good. And this guy's actually hasn't been a dud, but he's a dud in my eyes. Denzel Dumfries. I know a couple people in the chat, in the group chat, for the members have said that they want Dumfries. Not me. This guy is a Dutch Wan-Bissaka. I don't like him. He's really good attacking, but defending-wise, he's atrocious. And there's a reason why he plays in a 5-back and not a 4-back. So if we're going to go based on Man United, absolutely keep him away because he'll be terrible. But he has some uses, and that's why Inter have him, because he fits their 5-back system. But in a 4-back, he's atrocious. So those are my thoughts on Dumfries.
He is massive for a wing back as well. He's
his
very,
vertical,
very massive.
His vertical is insane. I've seen him dunk on people, like literally dunk on people, which is nuts to think about. But yeah, and then my other player is Matthijs de Ligt. We all know Matthijs de Ligt. He's been one of the most popular center backs in the last couple of years. But for me, he's a box defender, and like Harry Maguire, for example, when they have to defend in their box, they're absolutely immaculate. But when they have to step out their box and defend the 1v1s, like in the halfway line when they push up to be aggressive.
I mean, hold on. Harry Maguire can't defend in the box as well. Let's be honest. But
that's what I'm saying. He's like Harry Maguire, box defender. But once they step out of there, it's over. They're gonna get cooked. And Matthijs de Ligt is like that. His mobility is very not really good. And there's a reason why he got benched for Timber. And he said it himself. He can't play that role, that right center back role that Van Gaal asked for him. And for me, de Ligt, his name has carried him a lot. But I think people are starting to see how he is. And also, fun fact, I got to throw a couple facts throughout the stream. He's a snitch because he allegedly, I'm going to say this, allegedly, capitalize that word, allegedly showed group chats of the Juventus corruption. So there's some allegations going around from Matthijs de Ligt.
I just think he goes too up and down. Sometimes he has absolute superstar performances, and sometimes his performances are diabolical. And that's a risk for any club to go and buy a player. And his name alone carries about 15-20 million on his valuation. So yeah, that's just my kind of thing. We then move on to the next team, a team that was supported by a majority of the world, hoping they will go far, is Senegal.
Yeah, Senegal, it surprised people. No Sadio Mane, of course, that's their main player. Always he carried them to AFCON, was part of that group, and he obviously missed through injury. So people ask, will some certain players step up? And one of those players was Ismaila Sarr, because he was the leader of that front line. And in that game against Ecuador, we mentioned what he did to Preciado. He absolutely cooked them. And even against England, I thought he caused Kyle Walker some problems, but in the end, quality shown for Kyle Walker's side perspective. But Ismaila Sarr, he really impressed me, and we've always questioned, will he get that move away from Watford, that next step? Watford have kind of priced him out, but I think he's ready for that move. Maybe to like an Aston Villa or West Ham. Not top 6, but that mid-table clash of teams. I think Ismaila Sarr is definitely ready for that move. And my next player is a player that a lot of Senegalese fans actually wanted to see in the lineup, and the Senegalese coach finally agreed in that last game against Ecuador. NDI, he plays for Sheffield United, who are actually doing really good in the championship. I think they're actually going to get promoted, so we'll see how Sheffield look if they get promoted again. But he plays like the right AM, sometimes plays centrally. He's very quick, very nice dribbling. He's the kind of player that everyone on Twitter loves, the aesthetics and everything. And he actually was really good against Ecuador, and he provided a little spark to that attack that was actually missing Mane. And Ismaila Sarr couldn't provide all the spark, so they needed another player to do it, and NDI was one of them. And I'm excited to see. He's only 22, so a lot of stuff to come, and he's going to improve more and more and more. My last player is Papa Gueye, not Idrissa Gueye. Idrissa Gana Gueye, Papa Gueye. He plays for Marseille, a really good midfielder. Plays really well. Marseille have been really good in the Ligue 1 this year. I think they're a top 4 team. DM, Idrissa Gana Gueye was meant to play that position, but due to Mane missing, he had to step a little forward, play the 10. So Papa Gueye stepped in the head DM, and he did really, really well. Marseille always like to sell players, Ligue 1, so you never know what can come from him. Still a young DM. But there was one player actually, he's not on the list, but I wanted him to play was Pape Matar Sarr. He's for Spurs, but he hasn't played a minute this season. He would have played for Senegal if Conte gave him minutes, but since he hasn't, he wasn't able to play in the World Cup because he's obviously lacking match fitness. But that's a player that people should keep an eye out on. And then the horrible players. First one, Edouard Mendy. Faz, you remember Edouard Mendy, the Champions League one. Absolutely fantastic for Chelsea. He got best goalkeeper in the World Shots, and he even got robbed of the Yashin Trophy. But this guy has fallen off the face of a cliff, and he was horrific in the World Cup. Horrific in the World Cup. He fell off the
I
face of a
don't
cliff.
know what happened to Eduardo Mendy. He was the same player that got Kepa nearly sold. The same player that everybody thought, where has this guy come from? This guy's going to be the next, top keeper in world of football. He's going to be, above 70, 80 million XYZ. And the next thing you know, it's almost like, does anybody want him? Does anybody want him at all? For his sheer size alone, some of the goals that he concedes is criminal, in my opinion. He is too big to be conceding the type of goals he concedes and the mistakes that he makes. Even if you say they're not mistakes, just you're too big to be getting schooled like that. And yeah, for me, he's done. If you ask me, he had Tuchel sacked.
Yeah, bro. And then he lost his job to Kepa. We all made fun of Kepa for a long time. Like, we call him short arms and everything. And he lost his job to Kepa, and Graham Potter prefers Kepa over him. So, and there was a report in the summer that people that said that Mendy didn't want to improve his kicking. Like, he told coaches, "My kicking is fine. I don't want to improve." And you know what? When you get cocky like that, your own ego will be your downfall, and that's what happened to Edouard Mendy. And my other player is a center back, Diallo, plays for PSG still, I think, or former PSG player, Dortmund player. It's a good center back, but it kind of showed Koulibaly carried him a little at times, and it actually made Koulibaly look a lot better too. So I think for me, if I had to pick another player from Senegal that was kind of disappointing, I'd say him because he's a senior man, played for PSG, played for Borussia Dortmund. That's huge European experience. You want him to play a little better in that defense. And against England, I think Koulibaly had so much to do that it ended up costing Senegal in that game. So I think he was kind of a flop in a sense.
Okay. We then move on to the one team that a lot of people were surprised by, first and foremost, and I think a lot of people started getting a bit annoyed by. It's none other than US of A. Griggs, take it away.
Sir, my guys, I before the World Cup, I wasn't really that into the US hype, but after that first 30 minutes against Wales, I kind of sucked in the 2% American pride in me, stepped up to the occasion, and I really love this group of players. We've been hyping them up in the country for so long. And the first one is my fellow New York City man, Yunus Musa, New York City Hive Rise. This guy is a special talent. He just turned 20 years old. He was a teenager during the World Cup, in fact, and he was absolutely incredible. There's a reason why top European clubs want him. Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Inter Milan, all want him, and Valencia are begging to extend his contract to make sure that he stays and the price of the brick goes up. But you know what? He impressed his price so much, and he is the perfect midfielder of the new generation. Box to box, he can play in the first phase, he can play in the second phase, and he can play in the third phase, and he will only get better. And you know what? That whole U.S. midfield, we're going to talk about another player, but they were absolutely incredible. And Yunus Musa, for me, people say Captain America, LeBron James of soccer, Christian Pulisic. Nah. That's not the face of USA football. I'm not going to say soccer. It's Yunus Musa, and people keep an eye on him. I would say bring him to OT, but, a couple people got on my case on Twitter about that. So, leave that for another day. And the other midfielder, the midfield general, Tyler Adams of Leeds United. You know what? Absolutely incredible midfielder. He showed that he was arguably top 3 sixes in the tournament. Him, Casemiro, and Amrabat, who we'll talk about later. But Tyler Adams impressed me so much because you know how much space he had to cover for Sergino Dest because that guy was attacking all game, but Tyler Adams covered it well, and he was the midfield general captain. He took that from Pulisic, but what an incredible player. And, Leeds United got a good one there, and I'm not going to be surprised if top Premier League clubs come sniffing for him because he's an absolutely incredible player. And then my other player, another Prem player, Anthony Robinson, who just in fact got linked with Newcastle with the 15 mil move, which would be a fantastic signing for Newcastle, by the way. Anthony Robinson, what a player. Obviously, I know Spiller Media is probably going to say that he was really bad against Netherlands, and I agree he was. He slept at the back post a couple times, but the first 3 games, he was arguably left back of the tournament, other than maybe Luke Shaw. Absolutely fantastic. First phase, amazing. Passing, crossing, defending, quick, physical. He has all the attributes to be a top left back, and he's been arguably Fulham player of the season, other than maybe Mitrovic. Top player, and he's still very young. Amazing player.
Okay. I'm very surprised you did not put the one player that the whole world started hyping up, the main man, Timothy Weah.
Oh, Ballon d'Or genes, but you know what? He was really good in the first game, but against England and against even Iran, I think he was a little off, and he's shown glimpses, but it's still a little. I think the other three were so much better than him, so I had to. But actually, fun fact, I actually played football with Timothy Weah once. He pulled up to a park in New York City.
And you didn't put McKennie as well.
I don't think he was that good in this tournament, in my opinion. McKennie, I think
Mm.
Aronson should start over McKennie. I think Tyler Adams and Musa have so much legs.
Okay.
That you
All
don't
right.
need that
Okay.
you don't need McKennie.
We'll move on to the next team, the team that I personally do not want to see win. I personally do not want to see them go far. I have a lot of agenda towards this team. I have a lot of politics towards this team. There are players in that team that I absolutely love and adore, but I am willing to sacrifice. Sacrifices have to be made, and it is none other than it's coming home, England. Take it away, Griggs.
First of all, it's not coming home. That's the first thing I'm gonna say. Mbappe got a plan for me, but England, they scored the most goals in the tournament, which is not something that is synonymous with England. They're scoring goals. People call Southgate like the football isn't the most entertaining, but you know what? They provide a couple entertainment. And the first player is a talk of Twitter. Jude Bellingham. Where will he go? Liverpool are favorites now because Jordan Henderson has been doing a mad twerk sesh. I haven't seen twerking like this since Cardi B and Nicki Minaj, bro. It's been crazy. And yeah, they got him.
But that is the Klopp effect. Klopp is on a mission to get this guy. We all know Klopp got embarrassed by Mbappe and the phone call, and now he doesn't want this to happen again. And you see Henderson being the Dallo. He's just following Jude around like Dallo used to follow Ronaldo around. He's like Jude Bellingham's bodyguard, bro. He's just following him everywhere. And I won't be surprised if Liverpool go and make a huge bid for Jude Bellingham.
150. But yeah, Jude Bellingham in the tournament, he's been absolutely fantastic. The first couple games, I think he got misprofiled, but the third game, Southgate, maybe someone got into his ear and whispered, "Yo, Bellingham's a 10. He's not a 6. He's not a pivot player. He could play in the third and the 10." And that's what happened. And he was the X factor against Senegal. He absolutely ran the show. And you know, a couple people said today that is he the best English 19-year-old ever? Of course not. That's Wayne Rooney. Let's be serious for a second. But is he generational? No, but he's a top talent, and there is a reason why he's gonna be worth that much price. And arguably, right now, he's a favorite for young player of the tournament because him and Saka are the only ones left who move on to Bukayo Saka. Bukayo Saka, I apologize, I wasn't that familiar with your game. First couple of years, I was like, are you that guy? But the last couple of years, he's shown that, like last 12 months, he's shown he's the face of Arsenal Football Club, and they're the top of the league right now. And he's been taking that. He's been hilarious on TikTok. He has a nice personality. And the way that he plays right wing is absolutely perfect. He knows how to keep with. He knows how to cut in. Obviously his body hasn't stopped like growing yet. The shot power isn't there yet, but he showed a couple glimpses of that. And he's a top player. He's Arsenal's franchise player. He's worth over 100 mil in my opinion, and top player. And I think he's put the end to he's left back shouts. We've seen those on Twitter, but he's definitely not a left back. He's a right wing. So yeah.
Okay. You want to move on to the next players?
Yeah, and then we have, of course, Philip Foden. England, that USA game, Faz, I know you agree with me, but he should have came on against USA. Not putting Philip Foden in a game is absolutely diabolical. And I was worried that we all know how Paul Scholes was mistreated by England because he doesn't have the power, the passion, and desire of Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard. But you know, the types of Phil Foden, if they played for Spain, they'd be the best player there. He's got that aura about him. Obviously, we all know his coach is Pep Guardiola, so of course he's going to be like that. And Phil Foden's technical ability is up there with pretty much anyone in the world, and he deserves to be in the best youngster in the world shouts. He's basically a generational talent. I wish his dad convinced him to join Man United because his dad's a Man United fan. Why couldn't you do that? Please imagine having Phil Foden at Man United. It'd be amazing. But what a player! And he showed that the Iran game. Him and Marcus Rashford ran the show. A City United, as sometimes we say, and then against Senegal. Him and Jude ran the show, and England arguably have the three best youngsters left in the tournament. They're all on England, and they ran the show.
Okay. The next players that you've listed as as one of them being a fraud is Declan Rice. You said he's not a 6 and he hides all the time. And I think, I am so happy that since last season, when his price tag was listed as the 150 big ones and 150, God knows, 150 crack. That's what it was. It's not freaking pounds or whatever, because it was 150 heroin. Ain't nobody now. People see Declan Rice is absolutely diabolical. For me, he's always been like that. He's had a couple run of good games and a okay decent season, and English tax came in and media came in and just pumped him. And I'm glad people are seeing it. And you know what, another player same that I don't rate at all is Mason Mount. I do not rate Mason Mount at all. I think he's another player that lacks almost general football IQ and decision making in games. His decision making in some games is so poor. And again, I keep talking about problem solvers. Mason Mount for me is not a problem solver.
Yeah, I agree. Declan Rice, I think I think he'd be a good 8, not world class 8, but I think he's an 8 because he actually knows how to carry the ball. But in build up, having the way that England deployment build up, that should be Calvin Phillips' job, not Declan Rice, because he showed against Senegal, bro. The first 30 minutes, he was anonymous, and once obviously they scored, he started showing up, bro. I don't like that mentality. You got to be there from minute 1 to minute 90, not 30 minutes in you start showing up. And then Mason Mount, he was fantastic in the UCL run, but I think, like you said, the decision making. You see him so many times. He could play that through ball, but he doesn't play it. He delays it so much. Bro, flick of a switch. Maybe you need that little Bruno in you. Just pass it right away, straight away. And Mason Mount doesn't have that. And for me, I think he's regressing a little bit. So, and I think when he have the likes of Phil Foden, that should be playing, not Mason Mount. Let's be serious here.
Yeah. The next team we come on to is a team that has very much annoyed me. They have a player that I absolutely think deserves to be in conversations of world-class footballer in his time. And they have a footballer that obviously has had a lot of up and down in his career in terms of the media. But one thing people cannot deny, that this player was able to do unbelievable things when he wanted to and when he was played. It's none other than Gareth Bale's Wales. I don't call it Wales, I call it Gareth Bale's Wales, because he carries that team every single time he's on that pitch. And I think the way Wales played in set games in the World Cup just absolutely peed me off, because Gareth Bale was supposed to be the center of focus and they were supposed to use every bit of power that they have to focus and get the ball to him to get them goals, and they didn't. The one goal that they got was from a penalty that even he made, and it was just a very terrible performance from Wales, man. Take it away.
Yeah, bro. Obviously, I put a lot of players in here, but obviously not that much to talk about them. Ethan Ampadu was the only one that really showed up for me in that midfield, bro. He carried the corpse of Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey needs to retire. I know he's at Nice right now, bro. You got to retire. Big man, bro.
Yeah.
But, bro, you got to retire, man. And Ethan Ampadu, he had to carry them all 3 games, and I think he's actually done really good. He's on loan at Spezia right now. Serie A has kind of honed his game a little bit. Obviously, we all know Ampadu from Chelsea's academy and everything. I think there's a player in there. He's still very young, and he impressed me a little bit. And I wish Wales played Dylan Levitt next to him. Obviously, fans know Dylan Levitt. He used to be from our academies at Dundee United. Now, I think Levitt and Ampadu would have been a nice midfield. A lot better than Aaron Ramsey, because Aaron Ramsey's been proven to be clutch for Wales in the past, but 2022, it's not 2016 anymore when you're dunking on Belgium. It's 2022 World Cup, and I think the occasion got to him. And obviously, the other players, I'm going to go to the bad players. Actually, we've been focusing on good, but I'm going to talk about a little bad, a little negativity then and there. Daniel James. All of us know who Daniel James is, bro. Bro, this guy is... Bro, he just doesn't offer anything, bro. He just pace, bro. This guy could, you ask him to dribble, do a little move. He ain't doing it. He's sauceless in that department, and I just think he was supposed to be an outlet, but he was not doing anything.
He's a very basic sauce. He's got sauce, but it's the most basic sauce. There's no flavor in his sauce, right? It's just
no flavor.
It just gets the job kind of done. But again, that's one of the players that Wales could have used. Use what you have, right? That's what all you can do. They should have used Dan James's speed, and they just simply didn't.
Yeah, I think he was poor. And Nico Williams, bro. The way Liverpool has swindled Nottingham Forest, bro. The biggest thing that happened with Nico Williams in this tournament was his girlfriend being on the camera, and she got like 30K Instagram followers. That was the biggest news that happened with Nico Williams this tournament, because otherwise his performance was absolutely dead. This guy was dead. Trent's backup. There's a reason why he was a backup, and there's a reason why they sold him to get that Calvin Ramsey guy, bro. This guy is absolutely horrific footballer. He was trash in the tournament. Bro, Forest paid like 18 mil for him. That's crazy. congrats to Liverpool for swindling another team, bro, because that's crazy to me.
The next team that we move on, well, actually, Liverpool are known to swindle their teams before. They've done it to Barca as well. The next team that we move on to is a team that has a forward that got a lot of people talking and a few eyebrows thinking, could this be the guy? Could this be the guy that starts, coming out of the Asian kind of teams, the Middle Eastern teams, and doing something? Well, it's none other than Iran, and we start off with Taremi. Griggs.
Turan, bro, that's actually a really good player. I know you have a little comment in there, which you'll talk about, bro. I think he's actually a really solid player for Porto. You know, they went almost unbeaten last year in the league, and he was really good. Did you know that he was also one of the 2 players to score against Chelsea in that UCL run? He scored a bicycle kick in like the last minute of the game. I think he's a really good player. And against England, he was the only one that provided any spark. Good link play. He's a old age number 9. He's obviously a little up in age, and he's not gonna get like a big move, but I think he's a really solid player in my opinion, and he could do a job at mid-table club.
Okay. Well, that's the only player we'll stick to in Iran. With all due respect, we move on to the next team, which again, a team that I have a strong vendetta against. They have players that I like. They have players that are actually one of my most favorite players right now in Manchester United. But I still want to sacrifice for the sake of one player, and it is none other than Lamb Chop Argentina, man. Griggs, take it away.
First player, everyone knows where I'm going with this. I'm not even going to do a little surprise in there. It's Enzo Fernandez. My guy, Enzo. Faz's one of the biggest critics was Faz, but I convinced him. I drew him over to the side. And Enzo Fernandez, absolute baller. You know, we said with Gakpo price of the brick going up, ain't no club feasting right now more than Benfica in this World Cup, because the price of the brick for Enzo Fernandez is going up and up and up. And what a player. Absolutely phenomenal in the midfield. Man United, you know what to do. Drop the bag. Murtaugh, give me the phone. Give me the keys. I'll go to Benfica right now and solidify the deal, because he's a monster in the midfield. Him and Casemiro is dog. Unquantifiable dog. Like, you can't measure that on a level of dog. I mean, there's measures of dog, but that level of dog is incredible. And you know what? He hasn't even been playing his best position in the World Cup. He's been playing as a 6 when he's an 8. But he took it to ease, and it's amazing. And you know what, Messi? You needed him. Your boy, Rodrigo De Paul, who we'll talk about in a little bit, he wasn't there for you, but Enzo Fernandez stepped up to the occasion. And Enzo Fernandez is an absolute warrior of a midfield. Any club that gets him will be lucky. Hopefully it's not another Premier League club, because you might see me cry on YouTube. I'm not even joking.
Okay. The next player we'll come on to is none other than Julian Alvarez, that you've put in there as well.
Alvarez, what a player, man. He took your boy's spot.
That Julian Alvarez was free. No way 16 million is anything compared to what he actually should be. He actually should be a 50 million, 60 million player. What he was paid for is this bargain, beyond bargain.
John Murtaugh, you have to have a conversation, bro, because the fact that Man United did not sign this guy because they didn't think the next manager they thought the next manager wouldn't like him. Bro,
I think Man United didn't sign him because they thought he's too cheap. We don't like cheap. We like expensive.
Yeah, bro, because if any manager doesn't like Julian Alvarez, you need to be fired expeditiously. You need to be fired. You need to be fired right away, because this guy, Man City have 2 of the 3 best young strikers in the world right now. Because Julian Alvarez is an absolute superstar in the making. There's a reason why he got that number 9 shirt, because he's a hybrid of Carlos Tevez and Sergio Aguero. And that pretty much is like a perfect striker, because he got that Tevez dog in him, and he's got the finishing of a Sergio Aguero, and he's an absolutely phenomenal player. And when City lose Haaland in a couple of years, they just have a little Julian Alvarez falling right into the laps as the backup striker ready to take over the mantle. So he's an absolutely phenomenal player. And another player I want to give a quick shout out to, McAllister. This guy he doesn't sound Argentinian, right? Because he's Scottish, but his dad also played for Argentina in the 90s. Absolutely phenomenal player. Gonna be on a free in the summer apparently. So, we all know how Brighton's players are really cooking. So maybe it might be a top team. Maybe a further placement. May I say? Might I just say a quick further placement? Just throwing it out there real quick.
Well, and the last player, and I think it is only right that I talk about him, because I absolutely went all in on this player, and I said, this is the guy, man, that we need. I said it on every single stream that I could possibly say it on. It is none other than Lautaro Martinez, and my stock has crashed harder than Bitcoin and harder than Dogecoin could crash, bro. I'm telling you, this guy, again, I do not like players that break my heart. have bad performances, but breaking my heart. His finishes, every time he missed a goal, it's like stabbing. Someone stabbed me in my heart because some of the misses were actually diabolical. He didn't even get the ball on target, and Messi was looking at him thinking, "Are you even Argentinian, bro? Like this is like we might as well take your passport away because this is not acceptable." So yeah, this guy. All I can say is after the World Cup, obviously he's still in the World Cup, so I'm hoping he can do something. You know, but after the World Cup, this guy has to answer for his crimes in club level football because right now, man, this guy is the only thing good about him is his hairstyle.
That's not even good. Let's be serious. That's not a good hairstyle. But anyway, bro. Nah, bro. I told you,
Okay.
bro. I told you this guy is not that good. But you know what it is, bro. If
Okay.
Argentina lost that game against Australia, the streets of Buenos Aires would have rushed them. That's all I'm gonna say. But yeah, moving on from Lautaro Martinez.
Okay.
Not
The
that
next
guy.
team we move on to is a team that I had hopes for. And is a team that had two players, one of them who I again consider him to be in conversation for Ballon d'Ors, in conversation for world class, etc., etc. 600 plus goals in his career, has a keeper who has done amazing things and even had a song when he was in Arsenal. It's none other than Poland. And I tell you what, Lewandowski, you're a fraud. In
First of all,
international level,
I'm gonna
you're a
defend
fraud.
Lewa here, bro. The way that Poland set up was absolutely diabolical. This guy
Bro.
was doing 1v6s, bro. He ain't
Bro.
Maradona. He ain't doing nutmeg elasticos past 3 players. That ain't Lewandowski's game. But anyway, he got his knockout goal in the end. So congrats to him. History will remember him for that. But my player that I really was impressed by was Szczesny. Bro, the game against Argentina, that first half was probably one of the best goalkeeper performances I've ever seen. And like he was so confident in saving the pen against Messi. Yo, he smiled the way he smiled after Di Maria tried to do an Olympic goal against him. It was absolutely phenomenal, and he deserved better. But top goalkeeper, we all know Juve are going through some trouble right now, so you never know. A club might want to go against Szczesny. But yo, when you think about the career of Szczesny, it's hilarious, bro. This guy had Buffon as his backup. He had Allison as his backup at one time. Can you imagine that? Allison, who was the best goalkeeper in the world, was Szczesny's backup. That's crazy to think about. So Szczesny, I think, had a really good tournament. But
He had
Cash.
Szczesny
How do you have a diabolical
at
tournament?
a diabolical tournament.
Bro, he made the
You
most
let
saves in the
Messi-
tournament.
No, man, you don't. But you make the most saves only to go and let the most easy ones in.
No, he did, bro. What did he let in, bro? That was really bad.
No, man, the Argentina goals, man. Come on, those are savable goals, man. He should be saving them. You know, and I know
Bro,
he should be
it would have been
saving them.
7-0 if it wasn't for him. It would have been even worse.
And it should have been 0-0, man. You should do better, man. Like
Let's not
they have
don't
the
let Poland
same
get away.
energy that you have for David De Gea. Let's be honest. You know, same energy. That's all I'm saying.
David De Gea put that kind of performance against Argentina. I would have been the first one to apologize on YouTube, but he has not put kind of those
David De Gea.
performances.
I'm not even gonna go in. I'm not even.
But
gonna
yeah, let's
go,
not talk
I'm
about
not
that.
gonna
So
do that.
that's for other
I'm
streams,
not gonna
bro.
do
But
that
anyway,
because Spain got clapped. That's all I'm saying. Anyways,
he ain't changing
moving
that,
on.
baby.
Moving on. We go on to the next team, a team that I thought, okay, there is a forward in there that I like, and I thought, could they do something? Because in current, you know, in their current situation that they are, this team, I didn't really think they would do any miraculous things. You know, last World Cup, you know, before in general, they had some moments where they were giving Germany some hard time, if you remember, a good few years ago. But I didn't really take them serious, and you saw as well, you know, out they went. It's none other than Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico, World Cup heritage. Technically, they were before this tournament. Them and Brazil were the only teams to make it past the group stages since 1990 in every single tournament. But this Mexico team is very poor. Mexican Football Federation has to look at some stuff because they've fallen behind Canada, USA, in the CONCACAF. But yeah, the only player that stood out to me was that forward Vega. Got linked with Chelsea a couple of days ago, so maybe he did something right. He provided some speed because his counterpart Chucky Lozano, well, this guy's fault. What's it called? That goal against Germany is holding up his career right now because other than that, what has he actually done? At Napoli, he's decent, but at Mexico, he hasn't done anything. They've been getting dunked on by USA since like 2019. So Mexico needs to fix up something because that World Cup's coming to them in 2026. It's not just USA hosting; it's Canada. It's also Mexico at the Aztec Arena. You can't be getting dunked on in your own arena by the other teams. You got to step up. So Mexico have a lot to fix. But Vega, it's a little bright light because the other players haven't been doing as much, including Chucky Lozano, who for me was arguably.
Are you there? Yeah, you're back. Are you back? I think his network is gone, man. Network is gone. Hold on, we just wait until he comes back. Give me a thumbs up if you're back, Griggs. If and when you are back, I'll continue anyways. We move on to the next team. It's none other than Australia. You know what? One thing about Australia, I'll tell you what. You know what I liked about Australia the most is the fans. The fans straight up said, you know what? Whatever the boys do, they do. We're not expecting to even make it out the group stage. And at one point, they looked like they might. And everybody was like, listen, they're just part of their team. A couple of players that Griggs has mentioned who has decided to join back.
I love that.
Man left the stream like Ronaldo. But yeah, the couple of players you mentioned is cool, and Suta. Suta being one of the players that you said is really good in the air, which I think, and Stoke have a slight threat of a player there, and Cool, who Newcastle have signed him, and again he showed flashes. And Newcastle manager is known to cook in the background. He doesn't really cook in front of everyone. He comes out of these performances and these players. He's all of a sudden getting performance out of Trippier, getting well, when Isaac comes back, he's probably gonna freaking turn him into a monster. He's doing bits with Gucci Boy as well. So a Newcastle manager and Cool, something might be something there to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. He almost scored the equalizer against Argentina. That chance fell to him. Got in the right position, but obviously he missed it. He's still 18, bro. He's barely actually played senior football. He's pretty much in the academy for everything. But Newcastle saw something in him, and I'm not doubting Newcastle scouting because it's been nothing but hits. But yeah, this Sutar guy, by the way,
Yeah.
before the tournament, he only played one match in like 2 years. He had a
Wow.
horrible ACL injury, but he played a couple minutes for Stoke. 6'8", monster, absolute monster in there.
Okay. The next team we move on to is a team that is actually one of the favorites to win the World Cup. Obviously, they have done really well, all of them in World Cup recently, and they have a player in there that Griggs and one of our other members would, I don't know, twerk for maybe. It's none other than France. Griggs, talk to me.
Mbappe high rise, bro. Kylian Mbappe, the best player in the world. Best player in the world. If Dubai Stimmy is gonna get us Kylian Mbappe, I promise you, man. And when Kylian Mbappe rocks that number 7 and is dunking on Erling Haaland and Manchester City, you will all love him. And what a player, man. Absolutely incredible player. Might have 2 World Cups, but at the age of 23, something we only seen by Pele. The modern day Pele, some might say, maybe the modern day R9. There's so many shots for Mbappe. Absolute amazing player. And everyone's goats and favorite players are on watch because Mbappe is hunting down all of them. He's like the Terminator right now. He's hunting everyone down, and he's going after every all-time great, and he needs to respect because Madrid Twitter got onto him because he ditched them at the last minute to stay in Paris, but absolutely amazing player. And if France win, it's because of him, and he is X factor to the highest level. Then after that, with France, their young players haven't played that much, so we kind of went the veteran route with France. Antoine Griezmann, Barcelona tried to ruin him, man. This club, Barcelona, we all talk about Man United is a graveyard for talent. Barcelona, don't let them hide, man, because they try to ruin Antoine Griezmann. And this guy has been one of the best international players of the last decade. Every time there's an international tournament, this guy ends up in top 3 for Ballon d'Or somehow because he's been that good in tournaments. Amazing player, and the way his position has changed. He went from the main goal scorer for France to now the main facilitator. He helps Mbappe, Giroud, all them kind of players. And he's been the link of that attack. And against England, if Griezmann has a good game, you best believe that France have beaten England then because he's been arguably the most important player in that team. Mbappe is the X factor. He's the one that gets all the headlines, but Griezmann is that key element. So don't forget about Antoine Griezmann. And the other key element, Olivier Giroud. We all know Karim Benzema was an absolute world-class footballer, Ballon d'Or winner. But I'm not going to lie, that injury was probably the best thing to happen to France because it allowed them to insert Olivier Giroud and not get into any like big issues because Olivier Giroud is the heartbeat of that attack in a way, him and Griezmann, because, and I have it in the notes, his intangible of making players better. Kylian Mbappe loves playing with Olivier Giroud because Giroud facilitates for him and he just allows Mbappe to take his game off. And Olivier Giroud, bro, there's a reason why he led Montpellier to league title in Ligue 1. There's a reason why the first season he came, AC Milan broke their title drought. Chelsea, UCL, Europa League, even Arsenal. He didn't win any major trophies, but he broke their trophy drought of 10 years by winning them an FA Cup. He's that kind of player. Absolutely amazing. Yes, he goes on goalless streaks, but Olivier Giroud, bro, they won a World Cup with him scoring 0 goals. That's not because he played bad. That's because he allowed other players to take the shine, and he was there to make sure that the other players have their opportunities and play better. So Olivier Giroud, absolutely amazing tournament, and he's gotten his goals. So amazing player. But in terms of them being bad, the only player for me that will be France's downfall is their goalkeeper and their captain, Hugo Lloris. This guy is the most Spurs player in existence, and the reason why he plays for Spurs, and the reason he's their captain as well. Well, this guy has a mistake in him every single game, except Man United. Against Man United, this guy will pull out 10 saves and double saves like he's for prime Olivier Kahn. But against every other team, this guy makes a mistake. Even the World Cup final, they're up 4-1. Do you remember when he basically kicked the ball into his own net, like to make it 4-2? This guy has a mistake in him every game, and he's lucky that Mike Maignan was injured, because Mike Maignan, that should be his place. But Hugo Lloris, bro, I could smell it like a mistake from him costing France. So
Yeah, the next team we move on to is another team that I thought maybe they could do something, but again, not really that much stock in that team, and I don't think many people did. The only reason a lot of us would have been interested is because one of our top players is in that team, and it's none other than Denmark.
the flops of the tournament, in my opinion, because people had them topping the group over France, but they were absolutely horrific. I
Wow.
think they only scored one goal, which was against France. Funnily enough, they scored off the set piece from Christensen. But I didn't put Eriksen in the list, but I didn't think he was that good. But you know what? It's fine. He's coming back. He's rested. That's all that matters to me. But a couple of players that did good for me: Joachim Anderson from Crystal Palace, amazing center back. I would like if we could sell Victor Lindelof and get Anderson in. I'll be absolutely fantastic. I'll be an amazing signing. I think he's an amazing passer of the ball, good defensively, diagonals for days. This guy's an amazing center back, and they only conceded a couple goals. They didn't concede that much. They conceded like 1 goal against Australia and 2 against France, because their defense of Anderson and Christensen. A lot of people make fun of on Chelsea, but he's a really good player, and him and Anderson made a solidified back line of players. But up front, diabolical. And a couple players. Lindstrom from Frankfurt, he was meant to make like a next step up in terms of carrying their attack. Didn't do that. And same for Damsgaard. We've been playing for Brentford, but he hasn't played that many games this season, so he gets more of a pass. But Lindstrom from Frankfurt, he had a really horrible tournament. You know what? The striker's Martin Braithwaite, so I don't even know why we had faith in them, to be honest with you.
We move on to the next team, and again, another team that I didn't really have much interest in, with all due respect, but only so much because we have one of our academy boys in there, not really academy, but youth player boys in there. It's none other than Tunisia.
Yeah, Tunisia, you know, they were so close to qualifying, so close. But Hannibal Mejbri, he didn't play. He only played 10 minutes. I don't know what happened. Like, he was meant to be like the face of Tunisian football when he got, because he dubbed, like, if you guys don't know, he dubbed France to go to Tunisia. He was playing for Clairefontaine. He came to that academy, and he was meant to be the next one up, but he dished him for Tunisia. But AFCON too, after the first game, he didn't play that many minutes. I don't know, maybe something on the training pitch, maybe the manager wants more defensively solidified players because they don't play attacking football. But I was expecting him to, because I know at AFCON, he didn't play that much because he also didn't play that many minutes at Man United, bro. He just played youth football level. But he's been out loan this season, so he's been playing men's football. He's been getting a lot of minutes at Birmingham. So I figured that he'd actually get more involved, but he didn't. So I think I was a little disappointed that he didn't play that much, because I really wanted him to do really well, because, you know, we always want our Man United youth players to do good, but not from him this tournament.
The next team that we move on to is a team that I low-key started loving as the World Cup went on.
And then you jinxed them.
I mean, every team I started loving and supporting, I started jinxing, and every team I started tweeting about and being positive about started going downhill. And the funniest thing is, this team had players in there that some of them were playing in the most craziest league, in the most craziest position, but they were doing an absolutely tremendous job in the World Cup. And that's obviously because of the World Cup. But it is none other than my first victim of my judge. It's Japan.
My super team. Guys, you guys know my article about them. I had a little ego boost. It gave me a little ego boost because I published it right after they beat Spain and Germany, which is always nice. But my super team, we will remember them very kindly. But a couple players that really impressed me. If I had to pick a dud though for them, because I don't really want to go into duds, but the manager is the biggest dud of them all because this guy's lineup selections were absolutely all over the place. But my player that I loved, of course, is Kaoru Mitoma from Brighton. He didn't start any game yet managed to be one of their best players because right away as he came off the bench, instant impact, which is what you always want from your player when they get as a sub, instant impact. Bro, against Germany, he played in the past that created that first goal, instant impact. Against Costa Rica, I know they lost, but if Matoma played that whole game, they would have won, and they wouldn't even have to worry about that game against Spain. Even against Spain, he came on within 5 minutes to score 2 goals. Instant impact, plus minus was positive for him. And even against Croatia, did a couple things, but Brian signed him for $3 million. He's 25, still young, not old. Obviously, 25 isn't young anymore in football these days, but still a young player. And I think he get a move in a year from Brian. I think he's that good. And I think Brian, he scored or assisted in 3 of his last 4 games. So he came into the World Cup with a very hot form, and he's leaving the World Cup in good form. So Brian, potential Europe push, and I think Matoma will be a key part of that for me. And then my other player is Doan. Fantastic player, their best player in my opinion in the tournament because he scored the clutch goals for them and he had the X factor in him for this tournament for them. It was meant to be another guy in Minamino, former Liverpool player at Monaco, who was their top goal scorer in qualifying, but he didn't have the X factor in him, but Doan did, and he was a fantastic player. And Japan have done a great relationship with the Bundesliga. Most of their squads in the Bundesliga, and I think you're going to see more and more Japanese players go over there because it's done really well for them, and they've installed that mentality fast. You know the German mentality, efficiency. And was there a more efficient team than Japan in this tournament? There wasn't because they had a little possession, but they made the most of their possession count, and that's that German efficiency in them. And Japan have capitalized on it. And I think Matoma, Doan, Endo from Frankfurt, good player, Asano, they all stepped up, and it was a really good team.
I think the 2 players that I need to see come into the Premier League is one of them, obviously, most definitely being. Doan at 24 years old, he's still very much young enough to come into the Premier League, and I think, like you said in your thing, he's a great clutch player as well. So I think that's someone that I really want to see come into the Premier League. He might not come into the top 6, the top 10, but still there is a player in there. And also Asano. I think Asano, when he came on against the game that they ended up losing, I think it was against Croatia. He eventually came on, but he started looking dangerous. As soon as he comes on, and of course it might be World Cup motivation or something, but that's something I wanna kind of see and a Premier League team kind of explore. One of the players that must get a big shout out for me is none other than the Japanese goalkeeper. The Japanese goalkeeper,
Gonda.
Mr. Gonda. Please, there has to be a lot of respect put in his name. A lot of respect. He plays in the Japanese league for Shimizu, who are 17th in the league. 17th. They are going to get relegated. Where do you go when you get relegated from Japanese league? Where do you go? Is there a Japanese championship, Japanese League One? Guess what? We don't know. Yeah, we don't know. But what we do know is this guy was making nearly double-digit saves in a game. He was playing absolutely amazing. Germany, Spain. The guy was doing crazy stuff. And you know what? This is a player I'm not saying, he needs to move, whatever, but big respect to him, man. Big respect to him.
Yeah.
And we move on to the next team again, a team that interested a lot of people, to be honest, as to what really went wrong for them. What really happened to this team? Because they have players that all of us who are football fans really rate highly. They have a midfield of teenagers who run rings around veteran footballers, veteran seasoned World Cup footballers. Yet they could not find the answer to go forward into the World Cup. And this is absurd, if you ask me. It's proper absurd what happened, because again, this team's manager is someone that I personally wanted over Ten Hag. I'm not ashamed of saying it, because he is a good manager, but something went wrong, because ever since they had the draw in the World Cup, they just went bang, loss, and then bang, loss again. They got a left hook and right hook from Japan and Morocco, and it is none other than Spain with the teenagers in the middle of the park. It's Gavi and Pedri. But I'll let you take it away, man.
Yeah, Spain, first game, people had started calling them favorites because they beat Costa Rica 7-0. But their weakness before for the tournament was their attack, and it was their downfall again, bro. They played against Morocco, for example. They played like 1,000+ passes, 70% possession, 3 shots on target. What kind of nonsense is that? And then Rodri had the gall to say that Morocco, we played better than Morocco, bro. No, you didn't. They shut you down, and then you couldn't do anything. They outplayed you. You didn't do anything. But for me, Pedri, I think Enrique, top manager, but he got a lot of things wrong in this tournament in terms of profiling. He had Pedri as a deeper midfielder. You need Pedri in the final third. You need to let him cook because that team lacked X factor, and there is no player in that team that has more X factor than Pedri. There is a reason why he's arguably the best young midfielder in the world. I think he's better than Jude Bellingham, in my opinion. I think Pedri's a better player.
Wow.
He's fantastic, bro. This guy's like a mix of Iniesta and Xavi, but he had him doing like build-up duty, bro. And that's not what you do, bro. You let him cook in the final third, nutmeg, dribble past players, put a ball into the box or something like that. So I think for me, Pedri deserved better from Enrique. But Gavi, on the other hand, this guy did not deserve to win Golden Boy. That's the first thing, because he is not better than Jude Bellingham or Jamal Musiala, who we'll talk about soon, because they're in the same group. I don't think he played good, bro. This guy is a little overrated for me. He has a lot of aggression, but it's too much. He doesn't know how to tone in his aggression. This guy's diving in for like fouls and stuff like that. He got hooked every game at halftime, pretty much almost, or 50th minute. I think for me, he's a good player. He's obviously only 18, 17 still, so he has a lot of growing to do, but he has a lot of potential and everything, but he has some growing to do. So I think picking him over Thiago is a little bit of a crazy shot for me from Enrique. And I don't even rate Thiago like that, but you needed some more maturity when you have Pedri ready for the youngsters. You need a little bit more maturity. But in terms of other players that was good, Rodri, he didn't play DM in this tournament because Sergio Busquets played there. He played center back, and he was absolutely phenomenal at center back. So, Pep probably saw that and said, let me tinker something here. Maybe I have a new center back, Rodri. So it was really good. But Gavi was disappointing. And Ferran Torres, bro, I beg Barcelona to start that guy against us, bro, because we'll shut him down. That guy is whack. That guy is whack. He's horrible. I don't know what he does.
But
good.
we need to take it easy with Ferran Torres. He is only 22 years old, but he is only 22 years old, and we have a 22-year-old as well in our club who's currently catching up on homework. So
I don't know. Jadon Sancho is 100 times better than Ferran Torres. We'll say names, bro. He's 100 times better than Ferran Torres. I despise Ferran Torres. I think he's a dead footballer.
Okay, cool. We move on to the next team. Again, a team that's decided to concentrate on politics and bring politics into the game, and a team with some really good players in there, but one of them ended up being a fraud as well. Again, the Polish forward Lewandowski and the German forward Müller, when they're together, it's a match made in heaven. But when Germany started bringing in politics into their game, it's almost like they kind of got what they were asking for. Couple players they have that I thought, okay, they have talent in there. They're not the Germany squad that people would fear, but they were absolutely picked apart, man, in set games. Go for it, Griggs.
Jamal Musiala, that's the first name I got to start with. What a player, man. Chelsea, England, you let that guy slip through your... England could have had Foden and Musiala. Can you think about that? How crazy that is. True. That's absolutely nuts. But Musiala is fantastic. And the amount of dribbles that he was doing Joga Bonito in that tournament, bro. He was nutmegging everyone. He was fantastic. I know you're obviously one of the kings of Joga Bonito, so you would appreciate how good Musiala was, bro.
Yep.
Amazing. And he carried that team. The youngest player in that team absolutely carried them, and he deserved more because his teammates let him down. Thomas Muller was one of them. Another one is Joshua Kimmich. He's known to be world-class. I think he's a world-class player. But in the midfield, when it mattered most, he got absolutely dogged by Japan and Spain and even Costa Rica. Bro. Costa Rica actually didn't play midfield. He played right back, which may be his new position in international football because in the midfield, he was getting outplayed and outgunned by everyone. But another thing I want to shout out is David Raum from Leipzig. We were linked with him in the summer from Hoffenheim when he used to be there. He impressed me a lot. He was overlapping a lot, which I always love to see from my fullbacks. Played a nice couple passes into the box against Japan, which his players couldn't finish. AKA Serge Gnabry, who basically is only good against London teams because if you're not a London team, he ain't doing good against them, in my opinion. So I think he was good. But Gnabry, bro, you're meant to be the clinical guy because Germany don't have a striker. We're not expecting Kai Havertz to score goals. Timo Werner is not there. Fulkrug, no one knows about. So it's supposed to be Serge Gnabry, who's a gunman, but for me wasn't that good in this tournament either.
The next team that we move on to is a team that somewhat would have. I don't understand what really happened to them because they ended up kind of collecting a whole beating from Spain, only to then go and win against Japan. And that win against Japan is what kind of annoyed me because I wanted Japan to go through with on a high and etc. But again, you see their performances, you think, what's going on? And then for them to only collect 7 from Spain, win against Japan, and then score 2 past Germany. But obviously Germany picked them apart. And that was a game people were thinking, well, maybe Costa Rica might end up beating Germany as well. But yeah, as you all heard, it is none other than Costa Rica. Not really that many players to talk about in there, and not
their
really
squad
major talents.
Their squad is the same as 2014. It's pretty much the same group of players, and they added a couple players. Joe Campbell, former Arsenal boy, also played in Greece for Olympiacos, my Greek club. Obviously, I have a hatred toward Costa Rica for the rest of my life because they caused me heartbreak. And when you cause me heartbreak, I hate you. And they did that. So I've had an agenda against them.
So now you understand what heartbreak means, man.
Yo, bro, they broke my heart. Bro, they caused the last time I cried in football. I literally cried over what Costa Rica did to me. But yeah, bro, Joe Campbell did good. And there are other players that plays for Sunderland, aka Amad Diallo's club. I got to throw his name in there always. Bennett, 18-year-old midfielder. Good player, showed a couple nice glimpses in a couple games. He's their golden child in terms of Costa Rica football in the future because they're pretty much the 4th best team in North America. The top 3 is set, and it's them versus like Panama and everything. And he's gonna have to be the one that carries them because Oviedo, Brian Ruiz, Keylor Navas are retiring soon, so he's the next one up in that team.
The next team that we move on to is a team that are not only supported by obviously the locals there because they can travel within a few hours, but it is also that the team has had all their parents fly as well and support them, and the whole world now actually is starting to somewhat root for this team to go as far as possible, even though they are coming up against a very strong side who, again, a lot of people want to see succeed. I personally want to see them succeed because I have Manchester United players in there, but this particular team has been able to show a lot of unity. You don't have world-class superstar players in there, let's be honest, you don't, but what you do have is a team that play football as if they have been playing football for many years together, and they always fight to the end, and this is something that I really love about them. Again, locals are supporting them, underdog thing, dark horse thing, all of that stuff is none other than Morocco,
team of the tournament. In my opinion, the team of the tournament is the way that they've played. I love Morocco. I love North African football, like Egypt, Algeria, Morocco, the way that they play football. You saw what Buffon did to Marcus Llorente, bro. He's sending him back to Madrid. And I love Morocco, the way they kind of remind me of a much better version of 2004 Greece, but the way they play football, the unity, I love that type of football. I'm a lover for attacking football, but sometimes that unity, that dog in them, the aggression, the work rate, the passion, I'm a sucker for passion sometimes. And Morocco have that in loads and bunches. But the first player I got to mention is none other than Sofiane Amrabat. He's arguably been the best midfielder in the tournament. Obviously, people argue Bruno, which is fine, but in terms of expectations, no one expected Amrabat to be this good. And this guy's even got himself linked to a move with Liverpool that might actually happen. And he's been so good. He's been good for Fiorentina as well. What a player. The job that he did on Sergio Busquets to shut him down was phenomenal, bro. The weight, and then Pedri and Gavi, we talked about how good they are. They couldn't get a sniff against them. Have you seen, the meme of Terry Crews having people in a chokehold? That's what Amrabat did to those kids, bro. He had them in a chokehold because they couldn't breathe against him. Absolutely. And you know what? Did you know that he played with injections for that game? He was up till 3 a.m. and they had to inject him with painkillers because he wasn't feeling good.
Wow,
that kind of performance. That's a warrior, and those type of players, the way that if you play like that for your country, you have nothing but 100% respect from you. So Amrabat is one of those players. Another one is Aguerd from West Ham. They play with two left-footed center backs, which I don't like, but it's working for them. And Aguerd, another warrior. Every player on that team is a warrior. But Aguerd, amazing player. Came from Rennes, which I love. That's my favorite French club in terms of developing talent. And he's been really good for them, him and Saiz. And they've only conceded one goal in this tournament. And it wasn't through another team scoring. It was through an own goal. And you know what? They didn't even concede in the penalty shootout either. So you can't even count those. Phenomenal defense. Aguerd, amazing. Unahi, who was arguably better than Amrabat against Spain, plays for Angers, only 22 years old. He's probably going to get a move soon. He was amazing on the ball. Defensive work rate again. Nothing but greatness. Bonu, obviously you got to give him a shout out because the way that he got into Spain's player head for that penalty shootout. Sergio Busquets, who is known to be one of the calmest footballers. Sergio Busquets never gets faltered by pressure. But Amrabat, Bonu just looked at him and said, "What are you going to do?" And then he missed a pen. Saved all 3 pens. Phenomenal keeper. Sevilla. I thought he was actually a little younger. He's 31, so he's a little on the older side. But this guy probably wants to get out of Spain now after beating them and like dunking on them. But that's his top keeper to look at. Hakimi. You said they don't. He's their one world-class player in my opinion. I think Hakimi is a world-class right back. I think he's top 3 in his position. Phenomenal player. And you know what? In this tournament, he's proved to me that he could actually defend because we all know Hakimi for his attacking. Can anyone attack better than Hakimi? But the way that he's defended has been absolutely phenomenal. What a player. And that penguin dance.
I have always liked Hakimi. I really have. But I don't understand what the Moroccan manager did with trying to swap the keeper. Having one keeper one game and then having another keeper another game. It was that tactical? Was that minutes? But it's working out for them, and you normally don't really see that, do you? But he did that, and it's working out. That's all I can say. But yeah, Hakimi is a player that I think is so good, and he needs to be in the Premier League. These are the exact type of players I want to see in the Premier League, man, because I've always liked his attacking, of course, but he's definitely shown one thing for sure, that he can defend.
If Dalo leaves, you bring me Hakimi, and then Hakimi will bring Mbappe. They're best friends. So, it's a little Batman and Robin.
You're willing to sacrifice Dalo for the sake of Hakimi plus Mbappe.
Absolutely. Yo, Diogo Dalo, I love you, bro. But Mbappe, you sacrifice for the greater good.
Greater good. The next team that we move on to is a team that is always able to find answers. They have a veteran in their team, a player who everybody will agree that this particular player ages like fine wine, and a team that whatever side you put them against, they sometimes look like they're struggling, but then they still somehow manage to figure out an answer. And a lot of people thought that, okay, they might end up doing something, in the World Cup, but let's be honest, they have looked a little bit shaky, in my humble opinion. Anyways, it is none other than Croatia, with a midfield that is very old, if you ask me. It is very, very old.
Very old,
but
also world class.
A couple players in there.
Yeah, bro. Croatia. I love Croatia.
Sure.
I love Croatia. Obviously, my best friend in life is Croatian, so I always adopt them during tournament because I always support Croatia, and I actually love their team. Luka Modric.
Who?
My best friend.
I thought you said your best friend's wife is Croatian.
No, my best friend. Just my best friend. My best friend.
My
best friend's like, bro, he's not married. He's the same age, bro. No, just my best friend.
Okay.
He's Croatian.
Say, man, why are you supporting your best friend's wife so much? That's a bit.
Just my best friend. He's Croatian, so I always support them. And obviously, there's no other place to start but Joško Gvardiol, the center back. Absolutely phenomenal center back. Arguably, maybe the best young center back in the world, other than maybe like a Saliba, but left-footed, which makes him so attainable, wanted and everything. Real Madrid are in for him. Modric is probably courting him right now as we speak. Just that performance against Belgium. Warrior of a center back with the mask on too, because certain players don't step up with the mask on, but Gvardiol did. He put that mask on and he looked like Bane. That's what he did to me, and he was absolutely phenomenal. And if we didn't have Lisandro Martinez, I would be risking it all for Gvardiol. But we have Lisandro Martinez. I don't need a left-footed center back, but Gvardiol. I hope he doesn't come prem. I need him to go to Real Madrid, because if Man City get him as Laporte's replacement, it's a wrap for us because Gvardiol is only 20. So phenomenal player. My other player,
I think
go ahead.
he is so good for his age, he is so good, man. This player needs to be brought into Manchester United and kept in because Varane. Let's be honest now. We need to start looking for a
Bro, you're
replacement
gonna
for
play two left
Varane.
for the
And
center backs, bro.
I listen. Like me, I've never had an issue. I actually had never had an issue.
I don't like two left for the center backs.
I've never had an issue. I haven't. But some people have a very, very specific that, oh, but this is something, you can he's young enough
It
to
could work
improve
though.
both feet. That's the
Because
most
it could
important
work
thing.
because it's not like you have one left footer that actually literally can't pass. Him and Lissandro are two of the best passing center backs in the world of football. So like they could both pass with both feet realistically. So you never know. But Guardiola we are looking at him. We have kept tabs on him. So maybe it is an option. But what a center back, man. And my next player, I love the Croatian young players because my friend, like I said, Croatian, so he sends me a lot of these players, like talks to me about them. Lovro Maher from Rennes. This guy is a phenomenal player. He is the golden child of that future. He's gonna be Luka Modric's replacement. Phenomenal. He even scored in the World Cup. Didn't play that much because obviously it's very hard to get in that midfield when you have Kovacic, Brozovic, and Modric. But in the minutes that he's come on, he's changed the game. Morocco, he provided glimpses of hope for them. In the game that they drew against Canada, he scored. Croatia against Belgium, he was good. And against Japan, when he came on in extra time, he provided almost them to score. And I think he's a really good player, a phenomenal player. And I think Atletico were in for him. I don't want him to go there because I don't really want another young player to go there after what they did Joao Felix. But Maher is a good player. And maybe Newcastle can come get him or something. Play like in that final third role next to Bruno G, like a Joelinton. That'd be a perfect place for him. So Maher is good. And then Borna Sosa. Obviously, I wanted him to score so I could play the song Chief Keef for Sosa, but I really wanted that to happen. But phenomenal, really good left back, was wanted by Man City. Even we were linked with him a couple of times. His crossing abilities second to none. Wonder of a cross. And defensively, he's actually been really solid, which is his weakness. But really good left back, and they're missing him right now because he's injured. I hope he plays against Brazil tomorrow. But otherwise, but Croatia haven't really had any bad players for me either. They're just a solid tournament team. Just always in the tournaments, always solid.
But the only concern is what happens to them obviously after this, now that Modric is going to be saying his farewell.
They have a lot of young players still. Like in the midfield, they're stacked still. Like all their best young prospects.
Difference between replacement and that level. There is levels to this, and when Modric hangs his boots up, I think people will really then understand what this man has done in football. I think he's an absolutely one of the best players that we have seen in our generation. This guy is amazing. Modric is just amazing. We then move on now to a team that I enjoyed their downfall. I legitimately enjoyed their downfall. I don't think I have anybody in that squad that I have any attachment to, apart from one player that I kind of had some stocks in, but I thought, I thought he would work out in Manchester United, but he didn't. This team has a player that I think, again, some people were doing conversations about prime this player versus prime Neymar, and they were saying this player would beat prime Neymar or be better than prime Neymar and all of this stuff. And the thing is, if I start naming you some of the players, you would think, wow. If I start forget actually that. If I started naming their FIFA ratings, just FIFA ratings, and I know FIFA ratings isn't something to go off or whatever, but FIFA ratings is still FIFA ratings based on what the player is. So if I started naming you some of their player ratings, you would think this is a gold 90 plus 80 plus team. But bro, all I'm saying is Belgium played a lot of bollocks football.
Yeah, they were horrendous, to be honest. They probably deserved to lose all 3 games, if we're really being honest. Maybe it's the last one. But a couple of players that impressed me, there wasn't many, to be honest with you. Onana, I thought he was decent against Morocco. He's the only midfielder they had that could actually run, because Witsel can't run, and we all know Tielemans can't run, which I'll get into him in a little bit. Onana's good. He's been decent for Everton as well. I think his first touch is still very loose. He needs to work on that, but he has all the tools to be a good midfielder because he's tall, aggressive, can run. So that's good in that aspect. But I thought he was decent. Doku from Rennes. You guys are going to see talk about a lot of Rennes players because they have so many good young players. But he didn't play into the last game. But in the last game, he showed why he should have played the whole tournament because he's electric. Absolutely quick, rapid, cross, everything. so good. And Doku, him and maybe like Charles de Ketelaere are like Belgium's future in terms of young players. Romeo Lavia, who should have been called up over an Axel Witsel, because what is the reason for Axel Witsel in 2022? Let's be serious, please. So yeah. And then do I have anyone else? Tielemans, where there's people talk about him deserving a top 4 move. I don't think he's a top 4 player in my opinion. His off the ball work rate and just ability is horrendous. So
I think the biggest fraud that we need to talk about in there is obviously Mr. Kevin De Bruyne and Mr. Lukaku, because it's absolutely unacceptable. It is absolutely unacceptable. Kevin De Bruyne did some bits in that team. I can't lie. I really can't. But for him to turn around and say we are old, I think firstly that's disrespectful in my opinion, because there are other teams who have older players, way older players that are still able to play. I think Kevin pointed the finger at other people being old and not having the ability to facilitate him. I personally thought that was very rude from Kevin, and Kevin is a player that is such a gentleman normally, but I don't know, it's frustration or whatever it is, it could come in. They obviously had the Hazard brothers, and there's one of the Hazard brother who is better than the other one right now, and that has to be said. And it isn't the one that people are telling me that he would be better than prime Neymar. I'll tell you that right now. And also, I don't know what happened to Courtois, man. I don't know. Is it the vaccination? Is it the COVID-19 vaccination? I don't know what it is. But Thibaut Courtois, man, what was you doing? What was you doing? It was absolutely horrendous to watch Thibaut Courtois play for Belgium. And again, man, that's something you can't forgive, in my opinion, some of the mistakes that he was making. We move on to the next team. A team that has a player who enjoys streaming just like ourselves. I call him the streaming player. Nothing against him. He's a great guy. He plays a totally different position for his country and plays a totally different position for his club. A player that is really highly rated in the world of football, and people were thinking, wow, he's gonna take Canada here and there, but he didn't. Well, as you heard, it's none other than Canada.
Yeah, Canada. They played really well in that first game against Belgium. They absolutely phenomenal. Alphonso Davies, this guy is basically David Alaba for Canada because he plays every single position on the pitch except goalkeeper. I thought he was decent in the tournament, but for me, the best player was Buchanan for Club Rouge, who is now also linked to Napoli, which is obviously the best team in Serie A right now. He was really good. A couple of my USA friends call him like the 10-bit Sane, because like from Canada or something like that. But he was really good. Estupiñán from Porto was a really good midfielder, and a guy that just got a move to Watford from the Canadian League, Ishmael Kone in the midfield. He came in off the bench, but he provided a spark for them. So Canada, they did top the qualifying group in North America, by the way. They were the best team in qualifying. I think they're just a little young, and they didn't have a couple more X-Factor players like the America had. Alphonso Davies is the only one. But I think by 2026, you're going to see the best. You're going to see a much better Canada, and this was a good experience for them. It's their first time in the World Cup since 1986, but they were really good against Belgium, which is a top team still. They were decent against Morocco, decent against Croatia, but they ended up defensive frailties, a very young team. So you'll see the best of them soon.
Yeah, 2026 World Cup is gonna have some games in Canada as well. So you're gonna have a Canadian team who's got a huge home backing with no pressure supporting them, and same with the USA team as well.
Also, stay away from one last thing. Stay away from Jonathan David. He was horrific. That guy's dead. That guy's dead.
The next team that we move on to is a team that is right now the sauciest team in world of football. Is a team that makes certain people upset just because of dancing. It's none other than Brazil, and my favorite team right now, and has the best DM in the world playing for our club as well. So listen, there's a lot of players you could be talking about in Brazil, but to sum it up, in all honesty, we'll start off. You know what? Because Brazil is such a great squad, we'll start off with the players that have been frustrating. And in the number one list, we have, there you go,
bro. This guy's he hasn't been that good for me, honestly. Like everyone else has been so amazing. I think Rafinha has been very frustrating. Obviously, he has a couple moments where he's been so good to show his quality because he's a really quality player. But he's just been very frustrating. And obviously, maybe we're a little biased because we want to see our guy act all right, and Anthony. I mean, maybe we're a little biased in that aspect. But I think Rafinha, if we're gonna be weak because they've been so good, so it's really hard to find a player that's been disappointing. I think Rafinha, you could say, has been the most disappointing. Well,
I think Rafinha starting over Anthony is something that needs to be spoken about now, because I understand Anthony himself isn't really doing something which can tell you, okay, yeah, he should definitely start over Rafinha. But I think it's about time we see something different for Brazil on that right hand side. We know what Rafinha can do for his debut in his club. You saw the goal that he scored; it was absolutely crazy, and people went crazy. But nonetheless, this guy needs to perform a lot more better than he does right now. A
100%.
player that needs to be talked about in that Brazilian squad, though, for sure, is 100% for me is Richarlison. It's Richarlison. This guy has absolutely come out of nowhere. I did not know Richarlison had that in him. I didn't know. I rated Richarlison highly, but I'll be very honest. His move to Tottenham made me kind of think, okay, yeah, this guy, he's moved to Tottenham, and Tottenham football is diabolical. And worse than that, Conte football is even worse. So Richarlison moving there, I didn't really know, but I looked at it this way: one madman equals to kaboom. That's all I kind of thought. But hey, for Brazil, this guy just unbelievable. And some of my members say, well, his name starts with R. The number on the back of his shirt is 9, and his hair, well, well.
We're not doing that. We're not
Go on,
doing that.
Griggs.
We're not doing R9 shouts. He's not R9, but he's been playing really good for Charleston. You know what? Maybe he was worth the price in the end, like the 60 mil. Maybe not for Spurs, but for Brazil, if Brazil could have paid him, he would have been worth that price, because he's like, I think one of my guys said he's been fighting himself for a goal of the tournament. Every time he scored, it's like goal of the tournament contender. That's all he does. So he's been fantastic. But we always got to talk about the main man, Casemiro, the best DM on the planet, the most important player for Brazil, because without him in the DM, that defense is going to crumble, because he is so important. And in the midfield, he's been so good. He's been showing me passes that I didn't think he could do. Bro, Veronique Rabiot's mother, I will always thank you for not letting your son go to Man United, because they got us Casemiro. And this guy is the greatest thing that has happened to Man United in the last decade. I'm not even joking, bro. Bringing Casemiro into that team will change everything. He's a winner. He's only lost one game for Brazil competitive. That's crazy to think about. Amazing footballer, bro. And this guy, he changed my life. He saved my life. He changed my life. I love this guy.
And to add to all of it, they firstly said he was overpriced. They said he wasn't a Ten Hag signing. They said that he's too old. They said that he's on the decline. They said so much stuff about him. They said he might not be sustainable for the Premier League type of games. So much disrespect on the best defensive midfielder in the world.
We didn't pay enough for him. Well, we should add another 20 mil. I'm not even joking.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I think we got him for cheap. I think he can right now. Who can you tell me will give you that type of performance? Nobody. He can be easily 85, 90 million easily.
Bro,
and
you can say
70
that
million.
He's the one elite player that we've had in like a decade. Like Paul Pogba was so good on his day, like everything. But Casemiro, the consistency levels that he has, he is elite. Absolutely elite.
No headache, no behavior issues, no history issues, no injury concerns really, no dips in performances, just a slight slow start, you could say. But from the get-go, man, amazing. But the fact that the people said this wasn't a Ten Hag signing and tried to discredit the manager and then tried to credit Scott McTominay and say Scott McTominay benched Casemiro. It was absolutely atrocious. Mr. 5 times Champions League winner. And I hope he can win the World Cup this year. If anybody deserves to go and win this, if anybody is deserving, it is absolutely him, because he has been a rock for club and country. And I can only imagine, as a centre back, what would be going through your head when you watch McFred in front of you, and what would be going through your head when you see Casemiro in front of you. It's two different things, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad about him. The next team we move on to is a team, again, that absolutely deserved what they got, and that is exit out of the World Cup. The way they played football is they should be ashamed. I'll say it straight. They should be ashamed. They should not be playing football like the way they did, considering they have one of the players who's currently the hottest prospect right now in the market for his position. Everybody would pick him up if they could for his position. And on the other side, they have another player up front, again a player that is respectfully, made it into the Premier League and is doing bits, and is not a bad player. They have a decent goalkeeper, they have a decent defense, they have a decent midfield. Nothing crazy. You can't sit here and say, oh, well, this is bad about them, this is bad about them. But overall, they have a solid forward line, and they have two solid strikers, Vlahovic and Mitrovic. Serbia, you got what you deserved for the type of football you play. Absolutely diabolical. Cameroon slapped you 3 times. Switzerland slapped you. Brazil are obviously gonna slap you as well. Man, it was unbelievable to watch them. Griggs, what have you got for me?
I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, just like the tournament run, pretty much. Mitrovic, he's really good for him. Like, he scored that header that he scored against Switzerland was absolutely beautiful. He dunked on Kanji. Vlahovic, I would take him like you said, in a heartbeat. He's a fantastic striker, and the way that he got benched like the first couple of games and he got taken off early on in the third game was absolutely diabolical by the manager. But his finish was absolutely beautiful, and he's the top striker, and he does. And I feel bad for him. He has that coach, and then he has Allegri to go back to it for Juventus. Like, this guy can't get a break. And then my third player is Pavlovic, the center back. I just love him because I saw him get the ball kicked right in his face, and he got up within a millisecond. Boy, that's a real man. That's a warrior. We all know about them Eastern European center backs. Obviously, we know Nemanja Vidic was our captain and everything. He is the biggest warrior you'll ever see at center back. And Pavlovic, he gassed me up a little bit. I saw that. I'm like, yo, that's my guy right there. Eastern European. I love Eastern Europe, so I respect him. But my biggest failure in that tournament was Milinkovic Savic. And just one game specifically, against Switzerland, him versus Granit Xhaka, he got absolutely dunked on. He was invisible in that game. He got absolutely dunked on by Granit Xhaka. And when you're meant to be the main man in that midfield, you can't be going hiding against one of your biggest rivals in Switzerland in a must-win game. That's inexcusable, especially for a player that his owner quotes is 100+ mil every summer. That's inexcusable for me.
You mean the midfielder Savic, not the keeper Savic?
Yeah, the midfielder, Milinkovic Savic.
Yeah. I think that's the only player that kind of made me think, okay, he's a player to look out for. He's a player to, other than the front two players, he's a player that was gonna be there'll be talks about him in the summer of him moving to a bigger club. But again, man, the Serbia, man, the manager has blood in his hands, man. Dragan, he's got blood in his hands because this guy's got Vlahovic, Tadic, and Mitrovic up front, and this guy couldn't do anything at all. Zilch, nothing. Yeah, I'm just pissed off about Serbia, to be honest. And funny thing is, people won't talk about Vlahovic or anything and say, oh, but they're out, or Vlahovic's stock is down. They won't say that. But when it comes to my Mitrovic, when it comes to my Lautaro Martinez, people are pointing guns at me. But anyways, that's another conversation for another day. We now move on to the next team, a team again that nobody really thought they would do something. They came into the tournament having one player in there, having two players in there that are known to world football for high output, and one of the players playing in Premier League currently. I'm sure if I ask the fan base of that club, they would say they love him, and not so very long ago they wanted him out, but right now I'm sure they love him. It is none other than Switzerland, one of the main players in Switzerland being Shaqiri, who I actually really like. I really like Shaqiri. There's just something about him. I just feel like he's full of energy, and he makes me, you know what he reminds me of when I think of Shaqiri? He reminds me of a cold bottle of Coca-Cola. Soon as you open, it's just fizz and loads of energy. It's just, yeah, I just love Shaqiri. But Greg, talk to me about Switzerland.
Yeah, bro. Switzerland, one of the biggest tournament teams. Every single tournament, they find a way to cause an upset, which for this tournament might have been Serbia, and they make it to the next round. They cause an upset against France in the Euros. But in this tournament, I thought they were solid. The one player that stood out for me was up front, Breedon Bolo. He's a wonder. He used to be a wonder kid in Germany. Every FIFA career mode guy knows him. Like everyone knows him. And I think in this tournament, he finally put it together. He was powerful, aggressive, but his dribble was nice. His shooting was good. He was basically involved in every single goal. So I think he did a really good job of improving his stock. If there's one player that improved his stock a lot in this tournament, it was Breedon Bolo. So I'm happy for him in that aspect. The one player that really disappointed was Akanji. Man City fans have been gassing up this guy like, bro, he's like some mad center back, bro. I saw him get dunked on by, first of all, Mitrovic. And then against Portugal, dunked on by my guy Pepe. 39-year-old Pepe absolutely bossed him and absolutely dunked on him. So I think Akanji was very disappointing, in my opinion.
I think Mbolo is a player that I'd love to see move to the Premier League. At 25 years old, he scored, 7 goals out of 15 games for Monaco. And Monaco are known for having players and turning them into something crazy. So I wonder what they're gonna do with this guy, man. He came from Mönchengladbach to Monaco. I wonder what Monaco are gonna do. And watching Monaco and Monaco youth and what Monaco do with players, I'm very much interested. Very much interested. The next team we move on to is a team that gave us some sort of entertainment for show. A player in that team who purposely got himself red carded and probably had one of the best goals, one of the most FIFA-esque goals you could have asked for. It's none other than Cameroon.
Cameroon, what a team, man. Samuel Eto'o, shout out Samuel Eto'o always. But Abubakar, I know that's what you're talking about, bro. I love Abubakar. This guy is player hater of the year, bro. The way that he hates on Mo Salah is levels I want to aspire as a hater myself. I love the way he hates on Mo Salah. And you know what? One thing I love about haters is when they back up their talk. And Abubakar backs up his talk. He'll talk smack about someone and then he'll just go score. The header against Brazil, the goal against Switzerland, the chip, absolutely beautiful. And it was a wonderful story. I wish they advanced because I actually love Cameroon. And Guisa, the midfielder from Napoli, he was really good. He just got tied down to a contract, unfortunately, because I was looking at him. Fantastic player, and they got a nice young squad. I think Cameroon are going to be, them and Morocco are going to be really big forces in African football. And African football as a whole is improving a lot because you're seeing a lot of their players going to Europe, and Cameroon are an example of that. Timothy Wu from Rennes and Guisa, Choupo-Moting they still have, Mbeumo at Brentford, good players. So they're a solid team. They just got into a tough group, in my opinion.
The next team that we talk about is a team that has a player that dominates everybody's, that basically lives in everybody's mind rent free. Everybody's mind is polluted with this one particular player in their head, whether they like him, whether they don't like him, whether they want him, whether they don't want him. But one thing for sure, a lot of people want to see this team go far, maybe even to the final. People are saying they're capable of being a lot of the players. And they have a couple of players in there that are Manchester United players. They have a couple of players in there that I absolutely want to grab them and just by force bring them into Manchester United. I swear to God, I just want to by force bring them into Manchester United. And I need this team to kind of win the World Cup as well. It's a weird one. I need this so I can once and for all have the final say over everyone who loves lamb chop Messi. And it is none other than Portugal.
Bro, I could talk an hour about this Portugal squad, to be honest with you. I love this squad. They're the most balanced squad in the tournament. And I just put this in their members chat a couple of days ago. Them and France are going to run Europe because the way that Portuguese youth is absolutely phenomenal. And what other better place to start than the hat-trick hero himself, Gonçalo Ramos, another player that I recommended to Faz, and I've also convinced him on the side once again, 2 for 2. I love him, bro. Gonçalo Ramos, what a player! He proved to Benfica why Darwin Núñez was ultimately expendable. They dashed Darwin Núñez. They got a nice price because they knew they had Gonçalo Ramos waiting in the wings, and he's been nothing but phenomenal. Him and Enzo, like I said, bro, Benfica right now are going like this because they're counting that money because it's gonna be raking in come summer because of what Gonçalo Ramos and Enzo Fernandez did. And the boss, the guy stepped in for Cristiano Ronaldo, the biggest footballer in the world. all the pressure on Gonçalo Ramos. Can you step up? Can you fill the shoes? Because if he failed, everyone would say, why are you benching Ronaldo? But what he did something that no one's done since 1990. He scored a hat trick in a World Cup knockout game. Phenomenal player, 100 mil player. Come to Old Trafford, bro. That's my pitch for him. And then, second player, we got to talk about one of our guys, Bruno Fernandes, El Capitano. He's been growing on me. He is a captain, in my opinion. I think he deserves that armband. He's a leader. And one thing I've never criticized him about is his leadership. He's vocal, everything. And in this tournament, he's having the tournament of his life. Been phenomenal. He's been showing Bernardo Silva levels, who is meant to be the superior midfielder. Who I still think is a better midfielder, but Bruno's been outshining him in this tournament. And he's been the focal point of that attack. And he's been basically contributed to every goal. The court cross to Pepe, the assist to Felix to Leao, the goal that should have been maybe Ronaldo's goal, but the penalty, everything. Bruno's been absolutely phenomenal. And in my opinion, if you gave him player of the tournament, I wouldn't argue with you. And then the third player, I got to back up. We all know him. We all love him. We all would all take him at Man United. Joao Felix. Freed from the shackles of Ronaldo, in my opinion. He's been allowed more freedom in that attack. He got given the free role now. And he absolutely cooked in that game against Switzerland. 2 assists, bro. Phenomenal footballer. Give him to Ten Hag, and I promise you Ten Hag will make this guy a Ballon d'Or talent because he is a Ballon d'Or talent. He has that ability in him, and he needs the right coach, not Diego Simeone. As much as I respect Diego Simeone, talent like that can't end up in his hands. It needs to end up in the manager's hands, like Eric Ten Hag. And Joao Felix, man, I love him. I've always wanted him to succeed, and I think this next move will ultimately determine whether he is a flop or a player that will be world class for years.
I think for me, this is what I want to say, right? A couple of things I want to say. One, Gonçalo Ramos needs to come to Manchester United simply because of that celebration. Old Trafford needs. I just wanna hear. I'm in the ghetto, ratatata. I just need those sorts of memes, man.
I love a pistol.
Yeah, I love a gunman. And guess what? Joao Felix also has a celebration, trigger finger celebration as well. But Joao Felix is too beautiful to be sat in bench. This kid is just so saucy, man. He's so saucy, and he needs to, again, a player that needs to be playing at the highest level in football, which is, I'm talking, the Champions League-esque teams, basically. I know we're not in Champions League, but I hope we can make it in Champions League. But that's why we would want him. And what a story it would be. What a story it would be that a young player coming out of Atletico Madrid, Diego Simeone, making him, a prison, as people call it, in the bench, coming into a team that is in Europa, that should be in Champions League, and taking them into Champions League and doing amazing things. And it would do nothing but add to his value. One of the things that I keep saying about Joao Felix is he has the potential to be 200 million. And people don't believe me for it. I said this about Lisandro Martinez. I said we paid 57 million for Lisandro Martinez. When Lisandro Martinez in the current market, if you look at how he's playing, he's easily worth 97 million. So we played 50 million less than what we should. That was a absolute bargain, Lisandro Martinez. And Joao Felix is expensive at 130, 120 million. But Joao Felix, with the right squad, with the right manager, going in the right direction, could easily become a 200 million pound player, considering how young he is as well.
Think about it. He'll be playing with Bruno Fernandes, who he plays with at a national team level, and he understands him. They complement each other well. Marcus Rashford, he'll play really well with him. Anthony, they'll be linking up well, bro. And who better to take over number 7 than Ronaldo's heir in Portugal for the number 7 as well?
Yep.
It's just right in the start, bro. Man United and Portuguese players are always been a match made in heaven.
Yep.
It's our heritage, bro. Man City got the Spanish players. We got the Portuguese players. That's our heritage. And I want that heritage back. Arsenal got the French players.
Yep.
I want my Portuguese players.
We've always had some sort of bad luck until now. Of course, we've had a bad luck with South American players, but now I'm hoping Anthony can break that curse. I'm hoping Casemiro's obviously broken that curse.
Lisandro broke it.
He's shattered it. Lisandro's broken it. Again, the Dutch league thing, people were saying, yeah, they don't rate the Dutch league, this, that, the other. Well, there you go now. And Portugal and Manchester United. Sir Alex just did something when he was in Portugal. He must have done some sort of good work Yeah, they must have done some good work, and we're getting good karma because this guy needs to come to Manchester United. He's, like you said, he's got Manchester United written all over him. The number 7, Portugal, Ronaldo's predecessor, everything, whatever, the shirt selling, big name, young, everything is written. So yeah. The next team that we move on to is a team that I have always loved, simply because of the Jabulani Bowl. Yep. It is none other than Diego Forlan Tax, Uruguay, man. Uruguay is a team that I have always loved. There's something about that blue of Uruguay that's so attractive. There's something about Diego Forlan that made me fall in love with Uruguay, and there's something about Uruguay just not. Uruguay's not really an underdog and not really a dark horse, but then they're not really oh my god, yeah, they're so strong. They're just a tournament team, aren't they? They're a tournament team that can you should respect, basically. But they have an imposter, they have a fraud, they have a thief, they have I don't know, they have a tattoo model in there, man, that I don't really know what he's doing, man. I don't know what he's doing.
There's a lot of players we get into Uruguay. I hope Omo's in here because we'll talk about one of his favorites. But first we got to start with Charles Darwin, aka Darwin. What does Cash call him? Darwin Noodles or something like that. Darwin what's it called? Darwin Nunez. He was expected to break out at this tournament. Everyone said this is gonna be Darwin's tournament. Erling Haaland's not there. Darwin Nunez is gonna step up. And what did he bring up? Big fat zeros. That's what he did. Zeros all across the board. And he was not that good. Horrific player in that tournament, and they deserve to go home. But one player I want to big up though is Rodrigo Bentancur from Spurs. I think he's been fantastic for Spurs this season. And in the midfield, where his partner was Federico Valverde, he outshined him, in my opinion. I think Bentancur.
Where was Bentancur when he played Manchester United? This guy's a fraud. Bentancur, man.
Okay, bro. We dominated that whole game, though. But, forget about how he played against Man United. But against other teams, he's been really good this season, bro. We dominated, but we're Man United, bro. We're big Man United. Forget about that. Other teams, though, he's been really good. And I think he's been really
but that's
good
what people said about that's what people told me about Wolves, Bruno. And then look what happened as well.
Nah, forget about what people say, bro. People chat all the time. But, yeah. And then Pellistri. He showed me a couple of things. Obviously, I don't think Ten Hag rates him, to be honest with you, and he will go to another club. But he's a bright future for Uruguay. He's one of the younger players. Him, Nunez, Valverde. They got a decent young core. Araujo, who didn't play in this tournament, and if he played, who knows? Maybe things would have been different. Maybe they don't lose to Portugal if Araujo played. But they disappointed because they were meant to go a little far. There's no excuse for them not coming over Korea in this group, in my opinion.
I think it was the perfect ending for the Ghanaians and the Uruguay people, and you could tell the Ghanaians won the World Cup, man. They got what they deserved, and that is Suarez in tears. Like Suarez in tears, bro. The people who witnessed it will tell their great grandkids, like this is gonna go to through generations. Suarez stopped us being the first African team reaching the furthest in a knockout stage of the World Cup. And, God knows, maybe we could have even made it to obviously we'll just never know. But to be able to have in our power, by the way, to take them out the World Cup, and be able to do it. But the thing is, the maddest thing is, right? As much as Ghana got what they wanted, right? Ghana also did not really get what they wanted because they didn't really score. If they did score, that would have meant that they actually took them out. Uruguay actually went out because of the other two teams in the group that were battling it out. So Ghana actually did not do anything. But they'd still take it because it was the last day against them. But hey, that's another story. I'm sure we'll get into that. And funny enough, the next team is none other than Ghana, a team that, one of the members, big up Yuma, who was absolutely going in on the Ayew brothers. He was going in on the manager. He was going in at everyone, because if Ghana won that game, they could have gone through. They could have gone through.
A draw would have gotten them through.
A draw could have gotten them. They needed one goal. at the start, and it would have been they could have just sat back, but obviously Uruguay scored and scored again. But if they had scored first, the game would have been different. And the funniest thing is, this is why it's so much more interesting talking about Ghana. Is they literally, it's like deja vu, rewriting history, going back into, if someone had a time machine, that's what it would look like. Are you stepping up to take a penalty to turn the game around? Well, turn it upside down, really, and make it go for them. And the guy took, in all essence, the worst penalty someone could have taken. Is it in the Ghanaian DNA to take bad penalties? Because Asamoah Gyan did the same, and now this brother did the same. And again, as much as you got happy that they went out, man, Ghana, man, punched them the way they punched them. Punched them the way they punched you, sorry. Penalty, score the penalty. And you know me, Griggs, I hate people who miss penalties. I can't stand them.
Yeah, Ghana. I was rooting for them as well. A couple my Twitter, like one of my close Twitter friends are Ghanaian and everything. So I wanted.
Did you say your friend's wife is Ghanaian?
No, bro, not my friend's wife, bro. Just my couple friends on Twitter are Ghanaian.
Oh,
So I
okay.
was supporting them. Nah, no, I don't know if my friends have wives.
Male friends or female friends?
No friends.
Do you have any female friends?
I do.
Are they Ghanaian?
No, they're not. They're Greek. But anyway,
Well, we did see you dancing, in Qatar. But
okay, we're not doing that. Anyway, back to scouting. Ghana. First player we gotta big up, of course, is Mohamed Kudus. Like I said, other players raise their price. Maybe none other than Mohamed Kudus. Liverpool link with him. Dortmund no link with him. Everyone wants him. European lads crying because he's gonna lose another player. And Kudus has been fantastic. He was their only bright spark in attack because the Ayew brothers were definitely not a spark in that attack. That's for sure. They were absolutely two of the worst players that ever touched the pitch, including Inaki Williams, who was also, I know you must probably agree with me, bro. They need to strip him of his Ghanaian citizenship. He needs to go back to the boss with Bilbao because he was atrocious. He don't want to be there. I thought Kudus was good. I thought Salisu from Southampton was good. He's their linchpin for that defense. Or that defense, he is the linchpin because he's the youngest player. Because that Marti guy is not good. And Ghana, their biggest failure, their biggest downfall will be their government. Because the shady things that have been going on with Ghana, players have to pay for their right to play in the squad and everything. That's the whole African football, bro. They'll never be successful until they fix that. So,
I just want to say something actually. In separation to it all, a friend of mine, again, plays professional. He was called up to play for one of the African teams when he was younger for the under 23, 21. But he didn't go. And the reason why he didn't go, I don't know, should I say the country's name? But the reason why he didn't go, his uncle was part of the African team, that particular country's squad. His uncle would have to pay for his own hotel and flight when the team would travel. And it was absolutely absurd. His uncle played in the Scottish League many years ago, and he's absolutely absurd. And there were a lot. What you're saying is the politics going on, and his uncle actually decided to expose all of this. And ever since then, they've had a target on his on that surname. So he decided to not play for his country. But it is absolutely shameful.
Did you know that Cameroon rejected Mbappe? They wanted Mbappe to pay to play for them.
Mbappe
wanted to pay to play for Cameroon. Bro, how are you turning down Mbappe?
Well, now it is what it is. No, it is what it is. Now I'm sure they regret it. But look, it's something that I think FIFA need to look into and really get a hold of. This should not be happening, man. This should not be happening.
I'm not gonna get you canceled, so I'm not gonna speak on FIFA. But
yeah, I mean, we all know how we feel about FIFA. But anyways, moving on to the next. Actually, before we move on to the next, there's still one player that we need to talk about. And we thought that there would be some disco lights and there would be some parties, but Thomas Partey was not partying at all, man. There was no party, man. I would love to get Yuma's reaction to that, but I'm telling you, this guy was absolutely atrocious, and he was supposed to be one of the top DMs in the Premier League.
I'm gonna speak on Yuma's behalf because he probably feels the way that I'm about to speak about Thomas Partey. guy was an absolute disgrace. He did not want to be there, bro. This guy wanted to be in London. He did not want to be in Qatar. He wanted to be partying and doing festivals in London. He would do wireless and stuff like that, bro, because he did not want to be on that pitch, and he has never showed up for Ghana. And that is why they don't fall in love with him like other countries fall in love with their players. He was nothing short of a disgrace, especially when you're meant to be the best player on that team, bro. You're the one player on that team that's considered world class, but he doesn't. He's not. He was horrific. Bro, like if he never played for Ghana, I'm sure some of them would be happy, bro, because he was atrocious. And half I'm going back to Arsenal. I don't like Partey personally, just from like a personal level, obviously because of the allegations against him and all that kind of stuff. And bro, there were people saying that, well, he's just horrific, bro, and he's getting a little overrated. He's not better than Casemiro, so all the Arsenal fans can shut up about that too. And bro, he was a fraud.
The next team and the last team to talk about is a team that I was rooting for. They eventually got through to the knockout stages for the first time in
No, they've actually made the semifinals before.
No, it's the first time in how many years? Was it not like 14 years or something crazy? I don't know. But it's a team that has a particular player that I absolutely adore and love. And through peer pressure, I was made to sell a lot of my stocks in this player. And I'm not happy about that. Eventually, he did come through and got an absolutely amazing assist. If you ask me, not Megan players. But it's none other than South Korea, a team that made their fans jump with joy, made their fans cry, and at least gave them something to enjoy, to something to look forward to. But this is Son's last World Cup, I would say. I don't think Son would play another. Does he play another World Cup at 35 years old? He would be,
He's 31.
Yeah, so the next World Cup he'll be 30.
Wait, no, is he 30? Wait, he's 31. I didn't know he was 31.
Yeah, I'm sure he's.
I thought he was like 29.
Let me see. He's 31.
Oh, fairs. Oh,
yeah, he's 31 in like couple of months in next year, middle of next year. He's 31. So by the time he plays the next World Cup, he's going to be 35, 34, 35. But I guess you could squeeze in a World Cup, and the World Cup he will, because obviously the team won't be in Euros or something like that, so there won't be a lot of pressure. But yeah, you have one of the players that clearly you want to talk about is
Kim Min-jae, Napoli center back. I would take him in that in a heartbeat. He's the ideal Varane long-term replacement for me. He's fantastic center back. Literally has everything perfect about him. There's no weaknesses to his game, honestly. Fantastic center back, and he's part of the reason why Napoli are doing so good. They replaced Koulibaly with him, and they upgraded, and he is a fantastic center back. Heung-min Son wasn't on the list. I'm not a big Son fan, to be honest. I've never have been. I think he's a really good player, borderline world class, but he's never been that kind of guy for me. Fast he has been, which is fair enough. But he did step up for his country when they needed him, and he stepped up for them previous. So he has been clutch for them. So I'll give him props for that. Kang-in Lee from Mallorca is another player I've heard about. I haven't really watched him much, but I've heard from my good friends like that I talk to about football and scouting. He's been really good, and he's a player to watch for in the future with them. And they did Asian football proud, which was a big statement in this tournament, especially for Africa and Asia. They really stepped up and went toe-to-toe with a lot of these European giants, which is what we all want to see. And honestly, we don't just want to see European and South American dominance our whole lives in the World Cup. We want to see every continent get involved, and that's South Korea played a part in that. So by 2026, Heung-min Son might not be there, but you never know. Other players can step up.
Yeah, for sure. And that was the last team of the World Cup. It was a lot of players, a lot of teams.
We cut out some players. We didn't even mention every player.
We cut off a lot of players. We thought that the stream would be done in an hour and a bit, but there you go, 2 hours in, man. We're nearly 2 hours in. But big up to Griggs, as always, for doing the list and going through it. This guy's brain is like Dexter's brain, man. It's just pure football in there, and plus he has one section for football, one section for NFL, one section for basketball, and I don't know, one section for Ghanaian women. Anyways, big up to everyone for watching. Thank you very much. Make sure to hit a like on the video as you go out and make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. Again, comment down below if you enjoyed some of the takes. If you didn't enjoy some of the takes, smaller clips of this video will be out very shortly as well. But yeah, big up to Griggs as always. Make sure you go and check out his channel. His channel is linked in the description and also linked in the title, so you can just click his channel and go and subscribe to his channel, and I'm sure he'll be doing some sort of content soon. You can go check him out on Twitter as well. Griggs, where can they find you?
On Twitter at Michael. At Michael. Hold on, I always forget my name sometimes. At Michael.
What
Griggs.
What if a Ghanaian girl asked you for your number?
Oh, I memorized my number. That's easy.
But you don't remember your Twitter at?
Bro, I always forget where the underspace is. Bro. At Michael underspace Griggs 26. Just hit 600 followers on there yesterday, which is nice.
Congratulations.
I felt like 300 like the last couple of months, which is nice. And yeah, thank you for everyone that supports me on there as well. And make sure you follow me, not just for football takes like Fast said, basketball. I'm a diehard Knicks fan. They break my heart every day. Sometimes they make me happy. Giants, NFL, baseball, all that kind of stuff. I'm a big sports guy. That's all I live, breathe sports. So that's all I do. So yeah, and make sure you follow the TikTok, which is the same as my YouTube name. So as well.
Yep. Make sure you follow his TikTok, very specifically his TikTok, because he'll be doing a lot of dance challenges. But thank you very much, Griggs. I appreciate you for joining the stream. I appreciate you for doing the list. Big up to everyone as well. I'll be back with the stream tomorrow. And there'll be a lot more to talk about. There's a lot of Manchester United stuff to talk about. There's a lot of World Cup stuff to talk about. Obviously, England playing over the weekend as well. World Cup resumes tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Let me just check. I think it is Netherlands playing tomorrow, and Brazil playing tomorrow as well. So Croatia versus Brazil and Netherlands versus Argentina tomorrow. So that'll be a huge game. And I'll be doing a stream as well after the World Cup games as well. I might do a stream from home as I did one before, depending on what happens with Netherlands and what happens with the Brazil game. But nonetheless, thank you all. Take care. Peace, love, and guidance. And this has been good. I'm out, man. Take care. Good evening, everyone.